The scent of roasted garlic and simmering sauces wafted through the air as the grand doors of the Blackened Spoon, a once famous restaurant, creaked open. Under the pale glow of the chandeliers, the new owners, Alice and Martin, were determined to revive its former glory. The restaurant buzzed with excitement, but unknown to the staff and patrons, something malevolent lingered in the shadows, hungry for more than just culinary delights. In the heart of the kitchen, beneath flickering fluorescent lights, Chef Alice meticulously followed an old handwritten recipe she had found hidden in the restaurant's ancient cookbook. The recipe promised to make any dish irresistible, but it required an unusual ingredient: shadows. Alice dismissed it as an eccentric touch, believing it to be a metaphorical term for spices or herbs. Little did she know that the shadows of the restaurant were more potent and ancient than she could ever imagine. As Alice prepared the first dish using the mysterious recipe, the shadows in the restaurant seemed to quiver with anticipation. Unbeknownst to her, the shadows hungered for life, craving the warmth of living souls to satisfy their centuries-long thirst. With every dish served, the shadows grew stronger, creeping out from corners and crevices, extending their inky tendrils towards unsuspecting diners. The patrons felt an inexplicable chill, dismissing it as a draft despite the windows being tightly shut. One evening, as the dinner service reached its peak, a family of four sat at a corner table, their laughter filling the air. Little did they know that their lives were about to be entwined with the malevolent forces of the restaurant. As they enjoyed their meals, the shadows coiled around their ankles, their touch icy and unsettling. The youngest, a curious girl named Lily, giggled as she felt a strange tickle, thinking it was her imagination. But soon, she started seeing flickering, shadowy figures out of the corner of her eye. Lily's encounters with the shadows escalated. Late at night, she began to see ghostly apparitions, their faces contorted in pain and despair. They whispered incoherent words, their voices echoing in her mind, leaving her sleep-deprived and terrified. Desperate to make sense of her visions, Lily delved into the restaurant's history. She discovered tales of a tragic fire that had claimed the lives of the previous owners and their staff, leaving behind a legacy of sorrow and unfulfilled desires. In her pursuit of truth, Lily inadvertently opened the gateway, allowing the restless spirits to manifest in the physical realm, bringing with them a hunger for revenge. Lily, along with a group of curious individuals, decided to conduct a séance to communicate with the spirits haunting the restaurant. They gathered in a dimly lit room, candles flickering in the gloom, and placed their hands on an antique Ouija board. As they called out to the spirits, the atmosphere grew heavy with anticipation. The planchette moved erratically, spelling out cryptic messages. The room grew colder, and the shadows seemed to dance with an otherworldly energy. Suddenly, a gust of wind blew out the candles, plunging the room into darkness. The group screamed, feeling a myriad of icy touches brushing against their skin. In the silence that followed, a sinister laughter echoed, sending shivers down their spines. The restaurant staff began to notice peculiar occurrences. Plates would fly off shelves, glasses shattered without cause, and the lights flickered in response to unheard whispers. Some employees reported seeing apparitions of the former staff, their faces etched with agony. Alice and Martin, once skeptics, found themselves caught in a whirlwind of supernatural events. They watched security camera footage in horror, witnessing the staff being pushed by unseen hands and ingredients floating midair as if guided by an invisible force. The once bustling restaurant now felt like a battleground between the living and the dead, with the shadows growing more insatiable with each passing night. Desperate to appease the vengeful spirits, Lily stumbled upon an ancient ritual hidden within the depths of a forbidden book. The ritual promised to bind the shadows to a specific vessel, preventing them from wreaking havoc on the restaurant and its patrons. With trembling hands, Lily performed the ritual in the heart of the restaurant, drawing intricate symbols on the floor and chanting incantations passed down through generations. The air crackled with dark energy, and the shadows coiled around her, their hunger momentarily sated. For a brief moment, the restaurant felt calm. The shadows retreated, and the staff dared to hope that the nightmare was over. Little did they know that the ritual had only served to deepen the shadows' hunger, making them more cunning and relentless than ever before. One night, as Alice and Lily were closing the restaurant, they heard a whispering voice emanating from the shadows. It spoke of a bargain, an exchange of souls to quench the shadows' eternal thirst. In return, the restaurant would be spared from their malevolence. Terrified but desperate, Alice and Lily agreed to the shadows' terms, unaware of the price they would have to pay. The shadows, now bound to the souls of the living, retreated, leaving behind an eerie silence that hung heavy in the air. Unbeknownst to them, the restaurant had become a nexus of darkness, where the boundaries between the living and the dead blurred, and the shadows patiently awaited their next feast. With the shadows' bargain struck, the restaurant appeared to return to normalcy. The staff resumed their duties, patrons returned, and laughter once again filled the air. However, the cuisine served now had an uncanny quality, a flavor that seemed to capture the essence of diners' deepest fears and regrets. As the shadows fed on the emotions infused within the food, the dishes became more sinister. Customers experienced vivid hallucinations, reliving their most haunting memories, while the staff found their nightmares bleeding into reality. The shadows, bound to the souls of the living, grew stronger. They whispered dark secrets into the ears of the staff, sowing discord and suspicion among them. Alice, once a pillar of strength, became plagued by paranoia, questioning the loyalty of her own employees. Lily, too, fell victim to the sinister whispers, her mind tormented by visions of the past. She saw glimpses of the shadow's origin, an ancient curse cast by a vengeful sorcerer, condemning them to eternal hunger for the souls of the living. As the shadow's influence spread, the boundary between the living and the dead grew thinner. Diners reported encounters with spectral figures, ghostly echoes of those who had once frequented the restaurant. These apparitions, trapped between worlds, pleaded for release, their voices lost amidst the cacophony of the shadow's hunger. Alice and Lily, burdened by guilt, attempted to research a way to sever the connection between the shadows and the restaurant. Their nights were spent poring over ancient texts, searching for a glimmer of hope amid the encroaching darkness. Desperation drove Alice and Lily to forge an alliance with a local occultist, Madame Lysandra, a mysterious woman with a reputation for delving into the supernatural. She claimed to possess knowledge about banishing malevolent entities. Madame Lysandra agreed to help, but at a steep price. She demanded an object of great sentimental value to both Alice and Lily, a locket containing a picture of their late parents. Reluctantly, they handed it over, unaware of the occultist's ulterior motives. Under the moonlit sky, Madame Lysandra conducted a ritual, drawing upon the energies of the locket. The shadows recoiled, momentarily weakened, but the victory was short-lived. The locket crumbled into ash, and the shadows, enraged, retaliated with newfound ferocity. With the locket destroyed, the shadows' hunger escalated. They no longer fed solely on emotions. They sought the essence of life itself. Diners grew weaker, their life force drained with every bite. Pale and emaciated, they'd wandered the restaurant like ghosts, their eyes devoid of vitality. The staff, too, suffered. Exhausted and haunted, they struggled to maintain a facade of normalcy. Lily, particularly susceptible due to her connection with the shadows, began to experience episodes of possession, her voice altered by an otherworldly force. As the shadows grew stronger, the very essence of the restaurant seemed to decay. The walls oozed with a viscous, black substance, and the air became heavy with the stench of decay. Laughter turned to mournful wails, and the once lively atmosphere transformed into a mausoleum of lost souls. In the depths of despair, Lily experienced a vivid vision, a glimpse into the shadow's origins. She saw the ancient sorcerer, his face twisted with hatred, casting the curse upon the restaurant. He had sacrificed his own soul to bind the shadows, ensuring their insatiable hunger for centuries. In the vision, Lily witnessed a ritual gone awry, leading to the sorcerer's demise. His soul, consumed by darkness, merged with the shadows, creating an entity of pure malevolence. With this revelation, Lily realized the key to defeating the shadows, a sacrifice of equal magnitude. The very soul that had bound the shadows could sever their connection and banish them from the restaurant. Lily, burdened by the weight of her revelation, made a perilous decision. She resolved to offer her own soul to break the shadow's curse. Alice, horrified by the prospect, pleaded with her to reconsider, but Lily's resolve was unshakable. Under the blood-red moon, Lily performed a ritual, invoking the ancient sorcerer's name and offering her soul as a sacrifice. The shadows, sensing the potency of the offering, descended upon her, their inky tendrils wrapping around her like serpents. In that moment, a blinding light engulfed the restaurant. Lily's scream echoed through the night as her soul was ripped from her body, consumed by the shadows. The curse, millennia old, shattered like glass, and the restaurant was freed from its malevolent grasp. With Lily's sacrifice, the shadows dissipated like smoke in the wind. The restaurant, once plagued by darkness, was bathed in a warm, golden light. The walls, once oozing with decay, were restored to their former elegance. The patrons, staff, and even the building itself seemed to sigh in relief. The haunting was over, but the price paid was immeasurable. Alice, grief-stricken by the loss of her friend, closed the restaurant indefinitely, unable to bear the memories of the horrors that had transpired within its walls. Lily's sacrifice became a legend, a tale whispered among the locals. The restaurant stood as a solemn monument to her bravery, its doors forever closed, a reminder of the darkness that could never again touch the living. Years passed, and the memory of the blackened spoon faded into obscurity. But shadows, as ancient as time itself, do not simply disappear. In the dead of night, beneath the silver glow of the moon, tendrils of darkness began to slither back towards the restaurant. Alice, now an elderly woman, sensed the return of the shadows. Night after night, she watched in horror as the inky forms crept closer, hungering for revenge. Desperate to protect her town from the impending darkness, she sought out the descendants of those who had faced the shadows before. Alice gathered a group of brave individuals, descendants of the original staff and patrons who had survived the shadows' wrath. Together, they formed a pact to prevent the shadows from regaining their former strength. Each member of the group possessed a unique connection to the supernatural, clairvoyance, ancient knowledge, and even a latent psychic ability. They trained rigorously, honing their skills in preparation for the shadows' return. Under Alice's guidance, they studied ancient texts and artifacts, seeking ways to strengthen their defenses and uncover the shadows' vulnerabilities. The town, blissfully unaware of the impending danger, continued its daily routines, oblivious to the darkness that lurked just beyond the veil. On the eve of a lunar eclipse, a cosmic event that had once heralded the shadows' ascension, the atmosphere in the town grew tense. The group of descendants, now seasoned in their abilities, sensed the shadows' impending return. As the moon turned a deep shade of crimson, the shadows surged towards the restaurant, their hunger palpable. The group, armed with ancient relics and talismans, stood before the building, ready to face the malevolent force. In the shadowy depths of the restaurant, an eerie laughter echoed, a chilling reminder that the battle for the town's soul was about to begin anew. As the lunar eclipse cast an eerie glow over the town, the shadows within the restaurant grew more powerful. The group of descendants, armed with their ancient relics, cautiously entered the building. They felt the darkness closing in around them, whispering promises of power and secrets if they would only yield to its will. One by one, the shadows targeted their deepest fears and regrets, exploiting their vulnerabilities. The descendants found themselves haunted by apparitions of lost loved ones, each vision more convincing than the last. Doubt seeped into their minds, sowing discord among them. Under the relentless assault of the shadows, The descendants began to unravel. Paranoia consumed their thoughts, and trust shattered like fragile glass. In the depths of the restaurant, they turned on each other. Their abilities turned into weapons against their own allies. Alice, the once steadfast leader, fell victim to a sinister hallucination. She saw Lily, her deceased friend, beckoning her towards the shadows. Driven by grief and guilt, she followed, disappearing into the inky darkness. The remaining descendants, shaken by Alice's disappearance, struggled to regain their composure. They realized that the shadows thrived on their disunity and fear. With grim determination, they vowed to stand together and resist the shadows' manipulations. As the group united once more, they faced a harsh truth. The shadows demanded a price for their resistance. The town itself began to suffer. Crops withered, rivers turned stagnant, and an unnatural chill settled over the once thriving community. The shadows' hunger extended beyond mere souls. It sought to consume the life force of the entire town. Panic spread among the residents as they witnessed the gradual decay of their home. In a desperate bid to save their town, the descendants redoubled their efforts, seeking ways to counteract the shadows' curse. They delved deeper into ancient texts, uncovering forgotten rituals and incantations. Each night, they practiced their newfound abilities, strengthening their defenses against the encroaching darkness. The town's fate rested on their shoulders, and failure was not an option. Amidst the chaos, the spirits of the restaurant's original staff and patrons reappeared. Unlike the malevolent shadows, these spirits were benevolent, their souls bound to the building in a desperate attempt to protect it. The ghostly guardians offered guidance to the descendants, sharing their knowledge of the shadows' weaknesses. They revealed that the shadows could be weakened by light, both sunlight and pure, untainted human spirit. Armed with this information, the descendants set out to harness the power of both sources. During the day, they fortified the restaurant, sealing every crack and crevice to prevent the shadows from escaping. At night, they conducted rituals to purify their spirits, embracing the light within themselves. The battle against the shadows became a race against time, with the eclipse drawing nearer. On the day of the eclipse, the descendants gathered within the restaurant. A sense of trepidation hung heavy in the air as they prepared for the final confrontation. The eclipse approached, casting an ominous shadow over the town. With the guidance of the ghostly guardians, the descendants performed a powerful ritual. They channeled the purified light within themselves, forming a protective barrier around the restaurant. The light blazed like a beacon, repelling the shadows and weakening their hold on the town. As the eclipse reached its peak, the shadows shrieked in agony. They recoiled, unable to breach the barrier of light. The town's decay halted, and the residents felt a momentary reprieve from the darkness that had plagued them. Enraged by their defeat, the shadows lashed out with unprecedented fury. They intensified their efforts, targeting the descendants with relentless attacks. Night after night, the restaurant echoed with the sounds of battle as the descendants fought back, their abilities pushed to the limits. The shadows' hunger grew insatiable. They reached beyond the restaurant, infiltrating the dreams of the town's residents. Nightmares plagued the sleep of every man, woman, and child, each vision more terrifying than the last. The descendants, weary but determined, resisted the shadows' onslaught. They fortified their minds, developing mental barriers to shield themselves from the malevolent influence. Their dreams became battlegrounds where they confronted the shadows, turning the tables on their nocturnal assailants. In a moment of vulnerability, one of the descendants, Alex, succumbed to the shadows' whispers. The darkness promised power beyond imagination, tempting Alex with visions of grandeur and dominance. Driven by ambition, Alex embraced the shadows, allowing their influence to seep into every fiber of his being. With Alex under their control, the shadows gained a foothold within the group. Alex sabotaged their efforts, feeding vital information to the shadows and weakening the descendants' defenses. The restaurant's protective barrier wavered, allowing the shadows to seep through the cracks. The remaining descendants, unaware of the traitor among them, struggled to understand the sudden setbacks. trust eroded further, leaving them vulnerable to the shadows' insidious machinations. As the shadows tightened their grip on the town, the truth about Alex's betrayal came to light. A daring confrontation ensued within the restaurant's depths, where accusations and anger clashed in a storm of emotions. Under the weight of his actions, Alex confessed to his alliance with the shadows. He spoke of the promises they made, the allure of power that had clouded his judgment. The descendants, torn between anger and sorrow, banished Alex from their ranks, severing the traitorous link that had threatened their unity. With Alex gone, the remaining descendants vowed to strengthen their defenses. They conducted a purification ritual, renewing their commitment to the light within themselves. The restaurant, once again a sanctuary of hope, stood defiant against the encroaching shadows. The night of the blood moon arrived, its crimson glow casting an ominous pallor over the town. The shadows, undeterred by their setbacks, gathered for a final assault. They converged upon the restaurant, their inky forms writhing with malevolence. The descendants, fortified by their renewed resolve, stood their ground. They unleashed a torrent of light, pushing back the shadows and forcing them into a temporary retreat. The battle raged on, the restaurant's walls echoing with the clash of supernatural forces. In the midst of the chaos, Lily's spirit appeared, her presence infused with an ethereal brilliance. She bestowed upon the descendants a fragment of her sacrificed soul, imbuing them with unparalleled strength. United by Lily's sacrifice and their shared determination, the descendants fought back with renewed vigor. As the battle reached its climax, the restaurant's interior trembled with the intensity of the struggle. The shadows, desperate and enraged, unleashed their most potent attacks, seeking to shroud the descendants in an eternal darkness. But the descendants, now infused with the essence of Lily's sacrifice, stood resilient. They channeled their collective light, forming a brilliant aura that engulfed the restaurant. The shadows recoiled, their shrieks drowned out by the descendants' unwavering determination. With a final surge of power, the descendants expelled the shadows from the restaurant. The inky tendrils writhed and twisted, vanishing into the night like dissipating smoke. The town, once again bathed in the soft glow of the moonlight, sighed in relief. With the shadows banished, the restaurant stood cleansed of its malevolent presence. The descendants, weary but triumphant, emerged from the battle scared yet stronger than ever before. The town's residents, released from the grip of the shadows, celebrated their newfound freedom. In the wake of the battle, the descendants decided to keep the restaurant closed, transforming it into a sanctuary for the supernatural. They dedicated themselves to protecting the town from future threats, their unity serving as a beacon of hope for generations to come. Lily's sacrifice became a legend, a tale of bravery passed down through the ages. Her spirit, now at peace, watched over the town she had saved, her presence a reminder that even in the face of darkness, the light of courage and sacrifice could prevail. In the years that followed, the descendants established an order of protectors, tasked with guarding the town from supernatural threats. The restaurant, now known as the Sanctuary of Shadows, became the headquarters of this order, a place where knowledge and strength were cultivated. The descendants' tale became a cautionary legend, a reminder of the dangers that lurked in the shadows. The town's children grew up hearing stories of bravery and sacrifice, learning the importance of unity and courage in the face of adversity. As the centuries passed, the memory of the shadows faded into obscurity. The town thrived, its residents blissfully unaware of the ancient evil that had once threatened to consume them. The descendants, now revered as heroes, continued their vigil, ensuring that the legacy of shadows remained nothing more than a distant nightmare. However, as the town entered a new era of prosperity, whispers of darkness stirred once more. A cult, obsessed with the ancient sorcerer's power, sought to unleash the shadows from their eternal prison. Their nefarious rituals rekindled the malevolent force, awakening it from its slumber. The descendants, now a revered and powerful order, sensed the disturbance. With a sense of dread, they realized that the shadows had found new allies in the cult. The restaurant, once a sanctuary, became the battleground for a second, even more harrowing confrontation. The descendants, now seasoned warriors, prepared for the ultimate battle. Armed with knowledge passed down through generations, they faced the shadows and the cult with unyielding resolve. The restaurant's walls trembled as supernatural forces clashed within its confines. The battle was fierce, the shadows' hunger more insatiable than ever before. The cult, blinded by their lust for power, underestimated the descendants' strength. With each strike, the Order pushed back the shadows and their nefarious allies, refusing to yield to the encroaching darkness. In the midst of the chaos, Lily's spirit appeared once more, her ethereal form radiating with a blinding light. She aided the descendants, empowering their attacks and shielding them from the shadow's malevolence. With Lily's guidance, the Order launched a final devastating assault. In a blinding surge of light, the shadows and the cult were vanquished. The restaurant, once a focal point of darkness, stood victorious. The descendants, weary but triumphant, emerged from the battle, their unity and courage prevailing once again. But the price of victory was steep. The restaurant, now infused with the essence of both light and shadow, became a beacon of balance, a place where the supernatural forces of the world could coexist peacefully. The descendants, realizing the importance of harmony, dedicated themselves to maintaining this delicate equilibrium. And so, the Order of Protectors continued their eternal vigil. The town, nestled in the embrace of the Sanctuary of Shadows, thrived under their watchful gaze. The memory of the shadows became a cautionary tale, a reminder of the importance of unity and courage in the face of darkness. And in the heart of the restaurant, Lily's spirit lingered, her presence a symbol of hope and sacrifice. She watched over the town she had saved, her eternal vigil a testament to the enduring power of light in the face of eternal shadows.